Very quickly, just a couple questions. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Bob Lazar. Anything real quick?
Is that me?
That's you.
Oh, okay. I was wondering, hi, Mr. Lazar. Do you feel that we had any technology or do have technology to go to the moon? I don't feel that we did.
Well, you mean you think we never really went to the moon? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yes.
You know, a lot of people have been saying this to me just in the past couple weeks. There's a good friend of mine, John Farrat, who's kind of a bigwig in Hollywood, and, you know, he absolutely, and this is a real knowledgeable guy, and apparently there was some show on Fox where they aired all the old Apollo films and analyzed them, and I never saw this, but it seems to have convinced him that we never went to the moon, and I don't know, I've spoken to Edgar Mitchell, who was the sixth man on the moon, and it sure seems like he went there, you know, but I don't know. I really don't know.
You know, Ed Mitchell made an interesting comment to me. I've done many interviews with Ed, and one question that seemed to really stump him was, Ed, do you remember, what was it like walking around on the moon? And he said, you know, it's really strange. I just don't remember that many details of the whole thing. He said, I obviously remember it, but there are some details that strangely are missing, and he did make that comment.
I mean, it's possible to have faked the whole thing, but
who knows?
We know that the shuttle goes up there because you can look up in the sky and see it go by.
You certainly can.
So why is it that much more difficult to go to the moon? It's not that far away.
First-time caller line, you're on the air with Bob Lazar. Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Okay, sir. Where are you?
North Hollywood, California.
Okay.
Yes. Hi, Bob.
Hi there.
Still driving the Corvette?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all right. Anyway, are you familiar with the Lockheed facility in Burbank?
The Skunk Works?
No, not the Skunk Works. Talk about on the premises of the airport where the Janet flights took off.
In Burbank?
Yeah, Burbank, California. You worked in the 80s. What time do you work at Groom Lake facility?
What time? The time is varied.
No, sorry, I mean the year.
That was in 88, 89.
Okay, so I'll give you a name. There's a guy who worked out. I don't know if he worked in your division, but the last name of Hayes. Do you know him?
All right. Well, let's hold it there. Do you want to disclose whether the name Hayes is on your list?
There is a name Hayes on the list.
Oh, there is a name Hayes on the list. Really?
Yeah, there is. Now, I don't know if there's a billion Hayeses in the world, but
there's a Hayes on the
there's a Hayes on the list.
Really? Okay. Okay.
I mean, there's also a Jones too.
Yeah, I know, but what it's still.
but there is a Hayes.
What are the odds?
Right.
Wildcard line, you're on the air with Bob Lazar. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Where are you, please?
Here in Pahrump, Nevada.
And listening to?
KNI.
KNYE.
Yes, sir.
95.1 in Pahrump, Nevada. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Lazar, I'm a big fan of yours.
Oh,
and I was wondering how you feel about how the government's disavowed your knowledge of you and disrespected your work and everything.
Well, I am, needless to say, not too thrilled about it. There isn't much I can do, but I mean, there will never be a common ground between us. You know, as far as I'm concerned, all ties are broken, and all promises are broken, too. And, you know, it's one of the reasons I'm on the air. You want to treat me like that? Well, guess what?
Here's what you get.
Yeah.
If you, if they came back to you and they said, you know, with all the water that's going on in the bridge, Bob, we've made a lot of progress. We'd like to take you up there and show you how much we've done, how far we've come, impossible as this is. If they came to you with that and said, however, there are going to be a million conditions and more security checks and blah, 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 would you be able to turn that down? Would you tell them to go fly a kite?
I would certainly love to do that, but in view of what's gone on, I can't possibly trust them. You know, it's a completely remote, isolated area, and once you're there, they could really do anything. It's say, hey, you're not going home.
And you wouldn't go home. You'd just be not even a lump in the desert, but far below it.
Who knows? I mean, maybe that's all fantasy, but, you know, I cannot trust them. And I would absolutely love to get back into the technology. I mean, it was the greatest scientific experience I've ever had, working with it, and I'd love to see what else they've done, and, love to lend a hand and become part of the project again, but I can't.
I'd say the chances of them coming to you like that are
zero.
Yeah, absolute zero anyway. Just interesting question. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Bob Lazar. Hello.
Bob?
Yeah.
You fascinate me by saying what part of the universe this thing came from. Where did it come from, did you say? How can you say that with definiteness, with being definite, sureness in your voice? And was your job to reproduce this fuel, and this fuel called 115? And how far did they ever fly this thing, or did they tell you?
All right, well, first of all, the assuredness in his voice came from the fact that they told him that's where it came from. Correct, Bob?
Right. I did not determine this myself, and again, this was just a written satellite briefing of the project. So whether or not that's true or not, I cannot stand up to that fact, but it is possible, because the other things that I read in the briefings that I did get hands-on experience with are accurate and true. So I don't have any reason to disbelieve it, but because I don't know it for a fact, it just kind of sits in that special place in my mind where it possibly might not be true. But again, why throw a lie in there if we're trying to get all this work done and find out what the basis is of this thing? The origin of it may have something to do with the operation of it, so I don't think they would have taken the opportunity to lie about it there. So now, I kind of believe that was true.
Now, knowing what you know about the drive systems, you said, you referred, I think, earlier to some of the Belgian sightings. Mm-hmm. When you consider all the UFO sightings, and I'm sure you've seen a million pictures and moving video now of UFOs and all the rest of it, you think the Belgian sightings were perhaps accurate with what you know about the drive systems. Have you seen any other film or stills of UFOs that look like the real McCoy to you?
Absolutely, because once I started looking into it, now I don't research this stuff anymore, and I get a lot of people asking me UFO questions, and actually, believe it or not, it doesn't interest me. I liked being involved in the project, but I don't look into UFO stories or research this stuff. But when I did, when I said the craft operate in two modes, the Omicron and Delta configuration, when it's transitioning from Omicron to Delta, the way the craft flies through in space is belly first, not flying horizontal like you see in a science fiction movie. And as the craft leave the ground in Omicron mode, they perform a roll maneuver where the craft raises, and eventually you see it at a 45-degree angle, and then it becomes straight up and down 180 degrees.
Right.
The amplifiers come up to power, they focus on a point, and the craft flies belly first at the target. And you see a lot of UFO photographs here and there with crafts ascending in the sky at a 45-degree angle, but flying up, or sitting at odd angles in the sky, and at least from what I can guess from the photographs, if they in fact are genuine, it looks like the craft are transitioning from one mode to another.
And so you've seen quite a few of those?
I've probably seen 3 or 4 of those.
3 or 4?
Yeah.
So the majority of UFO photos are by you pretty much dismissed, but every now and then one hits you and you say, hey, look at that.
Yeah, if it has something that clicks somewhere, but these days, you just take a picture into Adobe Photoshop and, you can make anything.
I do know. Bob, I can't thank you enough for coming on tonight. With regard to your movie, Blue Book film, hey, do you have any idea what the title might be?
No idea. The only thing they talked about are the people that might play me. This is James Spader, Kevin Spacey, or Mark Wahlberg, so that's about all I know at the time.
Brother, good luck with the movie, and thank you so much for laying so much new detail on us tonight.
No problem, Art, and I'd just like to say hi to my buddies Debbie and Nancy out in Chicago and the incredible Duger.
Good night, Bob.
Good night, Art.
All right, there you have it, folks. A whole lot of stuff you've never heard before. That was Bob Lazar. I'm Art Bell. This is Coast. See you tomorrow night. Open lines.